you guys, and welcome to Enlightened Conversations today. I'm gonna have with me Lois Rowley today. And Lois was one of the first students and graduates of the Master Lightworker Practitioner. And she has continued her studies and now has even more vast experience in psychology, counseling, and karate. She has found her niche in helping others, finding their way through traveling their feelings, helping others find their way through traveling their feelings. She is passionate about bridging the gap between mainstream and alternate consciousness, and is an absolute wealth of knowledge with equal sense of humility. So I'm very excited to have her here. Just gonna get her into the conversation on the screen. Should be not taking too long. We're already connecting. There she is.
Hi.
Drum rolls. That's much better with a vertical screen. How are you, Lois?
I'm very well. How are you, Christin?
Good, thank you. Good to have you here again.
Yeah, let's see if this works well.
Yes, I'm burning to ask you a question already.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I can remember when you were like one of our mentors and facilitators when I started the LPT training, and you said, was it one of your dreams or is it a goal? Either or, but you said you wanted to be like more than 100 years old, like far more than
116 is the exact age.
116. I wasn't sure. Like 120, was it that much or less?
No, it was 116. Somewhere along the lines, I worked out that if I made it to 116, I would get to go to my grandchildren's weddings.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So that is why the specific age. And that may be right, that may be wrong. I'm not sure, but yeah, look, 116. There's no better time to be alive and have the possibility of making it to a very, very older age than there is today. We have more opportunity for health today than many generations past have had. So that's a win for us all. Society, you have won.
Do you when you say like about health, do you combine like doctors and alternative medicine and everything like that as well?
Absolutely. I actually pride myself on being very mainstream with everything that I do. That's not to exclude the alternative therapies either, because I find that there's no one answer, or there may be one answer, but you need to look in both places. You need to have the grounded advice of a medical practitioner, but he's not a higher power or an authority greater than your own, other than he has the knowledge of the hypothetico-deductive reasoning to be able to decide based on your symptoms what's going on in your body. It's up to you whether you take his treatment. It's up to you whether you have full freedom to take his advice or not take his advice, or seek more and further advice. And yes, that's exactly what I do, and that's how I go about my health. A doctor is not always the start point, but if I feel like that's what I need to do, then that's what I do.
Yes, that's true. I guess that's where I'm coming from as well. Are your children immunized?
Yes, they are. Yes.
It's like a big one for me right now.
yeah, and only you can make that choice.
Yeah.
My daughter is about to travel overseas, and she has just had I think 9 vaccinations all on the one day.
Yeah, it's rough. I had to have them as well before I came to Australia. And I have now my son going through it, and he's only 4, and I'm aware of some of the negatives and positives, but I just, for some reason, I feel like doing it.
Yeah.
So who knows? Because we are traveling as well.
Yeah. A big part of the research is herd immunity. The more of us that are immunized, then the more people who are not immunized are covered by our herd immunity. And there are people who have big reactions to immunization, you know, and those people have to do what is right for them. So yeah, I am immunized, not only to protect myself but to protect others as well.
I like
do your own research and use your own heart to answer the question.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing people, but I feel like still doing this. And I guess being okay with that as well, being okay with, you know, the decisions you make. Like, and just accept that. That's really interesting.
Absolutely validate what feels right for you. Acknowledge and validate. Just because other people say you should do this or you should do that and this is the way I weighed it up, that's good. I'm glad that you did that for yourself. Now it is my turn to make my decision.
Yes. And then live with it regardless of what, you know, consequences and whatever, but
that's right. We're all living a life of choices. Don't hold back on making a choice, because that's making a choice. Making a choice not to make a choice is a choice, and that one leads to a lot of heartache. In my big fat experience.
It's see, that's what I thought was almost overthinking doing this. Like, do I do this? Don't I do this? And then you don't do it, and you just leave it.
Stick it on hold.
You couldn't make a decision.
Yeah. That's how you end up with big laundry baskets full of stuff.
Yeah, that is probably true. Just make any. I do have a laundry basket. No, actually, it's actually not too bad.
I have several laundry baskets. I've chosen not to do them because there's other things more important.
I do that too. Do you have like a plan or something to reach that age? Like, you know, do you fast a lot, or do you take special care of your health, or are you extra happy or something like that?
Am I extra happy? Yeah, I should plan to be extra happy. I have a moderate way of life, and I do what I enjoy doing, and I listen to my gut. I'm 47 years old. I've made plenty of mistakes. Quite often I find that the early part of your life is designed around your immaturity and your inexperience, and therefore you stumble over these mistakes that actually teach you how to live your life in the future. You know, perfect, wonderful, excellent. Don't be the person who needs to kick their toe twice on the same step. You know, I eat well. I'm not vegetarian. I eat very little red meat. I eat red meat maybe once a week. I have quite low levels of iron. That's been for quite a few reasons. I'm a blood donor, and I haven't been able to donate blood because my iron levels are low, but I've donated blood for years, and probably not taken enough iron supplementation to be able to, you know, continually do that. So that's the red meat issue. I eat greens like they're coming out of my ears. I eat greens 3 times a day, and I eat fruit as snacks. I eat dark chocolate. I drink red wine. I don't drink red wine daily. I drink Friday to Sunday. That's my integrity. And, you know, I drink about 2 glasses of wine. I don't really feel like anymore. That's just the way I am. When I first had the epiphany that moderation is freedom, then that's just the way I that's just where I gravitated to. And, you know, and I do allow myself to get loose from time to time. I have an up and coming wedding, you know, in August, of which one of our viewers are going to. And I am really looking forward to letting my hair down, really looking forward to letting my hair down with my family. Yeah, I can't imagine I'll get too untidy, but you know, it'll be enough to make it. It'll be enough to make an inappropriate joke, and you know, it'll be enough to make an inappropriate joke, and you know, I like that. I like that about me. Bring on the inappropriate jokes.
Yeah, that will then later on give you another wave of joy there. A couple of months down the track,
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And happy travel. In a joyful way. That's awesome. I actually haven't done that for a while either. I've been working on it, but I'm like, I think I should let my hair out sometime soon.
I think
in a moderate way.
Absolutely, in a moderate way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's, you know, I have absolutely no desire to get immoderate around alcohol.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it.
No, it doesn't make you feel good the next day.
No. And I like how you call that freedom as well, because sometimes you look at this as in like a, you know, I'm cutting things out that are actually fun, but through
restrictive.
Yes, it actually
you know,
is. Well,
if you ask yourself, you know, if you really want to go out and overdo something, or if you really want to restrict yourself from something, ask yourself, you know, what's the feeling? What's the feeling that I'm chasing? What's the feeling that's motivating me to overdrink? What's the feeling that is asking me, you know, not to eat enough? What's the feeling? You know, once you get in there and have a feel of the feeling that's unconsciously kicking your butt around, then you can sit with that feeling and watch it and ask it what it needs and soothe it and de-identify, detach, take its reinforcers away, let it pass through, let it extinguish, and then find yourself in another feeling, something different.
And then you can still choose what you're going to do.
Well, and you can choose more consciously, because while you have an impulse kicking your butt, you'll be choosing what the impulse wants, not actually what you really know is right for you.
Yeah, because I had two situations come to mind when I hear you say that. And one is that I talked to a friend and she said, I feel like a glass of wine. I haven't had wine, you know, in ages, and I usually don't drink any wine.
Awesome.
And I said, go for it. Just have a glass of wine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then later on, she shared a little bit more of a situation with me. And I thought later on, like, do you think you are wanting the wine to actually do, like, you know, cover up all the underneath, like everything that you feel like sorting out? Yeah, it was almost like, I don't know. I was wondering the same thing, if it was like a thing of trying to suppress that what wanted to come out and be sorted out and be heard, that frustration, the stress, and all of that she has experienced along the way.
And this is where I find self-reflective questioning so helpful, because you know, the question, do you think you wanted a wine so that you didn't have to feel these feelings, is a great question. Do you think you wanted a glass of wine so that you would feel more comfortable talking and disclosing and sharing your feelings and your story with me, or feel more comfortable talking about it. You know, what's the feeling you're in? You know, sitting and listening to a friend is the most cherished of opportunities. You know, especially when a friend is sharing their challenges with you. Especially when a friend is sharing their challenges with you, because we all have stuff. No matter how long you work on your stuff, you're always going to have stuff. Stuff is just part of the, you know, stuff is just part of the human experience.
But it's for us to evolve and grow as well. So I shouldn't probably say damn you, and just, like, you know, embrace it and welcome it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Did you say damn you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn you, humanity. Oh, yeah. I totally get that. And I hear that all the time as well. But in actual fact, you know, once you've got that out of the way, that's part of your humanity too. So embrace the fact that you've gone and you know, gone to your default and invalidated life's experience. You know, life's not going to get offended. Let's face it. Life's not going to get offended if you damn it just a couple of times a week.
That's
you
true.
Know, she's not going to get offended. And so full of, as soon as you step into forgiveness, so does she, you know. So, you know, notice that you have invalidated your experience. Notice that you've invalidated yourself. Drop into some softness and continue. Open your heart again and keep walking forward.
Because I can remember like when I had a lot of stuff sitting on my shoulders, and I went to the ocean and I had a walk, and I just screamed, why am I in this situation and what is happening? I'm just like, let it all out.
Absolutely. And the ocean's a great place.
The answer that yes, absolutely, so good. And the thing I received the answer of, and like, because you can, like, I have faith in you, and it instantaneously made me like, oh, like I think it took me several weeks actually to really understand that one, because I still had to release a lot of that.
Yeah, you know, having faith in life. You know, having faith in life is an attitude. It really is an attitude thing. You're either sending your attention towards the stuff that is good and supportive of your ideals, or you're sending your attention to aspects of your life that is challenging and unsupportive of your ideals. Basically, you know, we all have ideals which create controls. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I have to have for my life to be okay. Actually, if you soften with that and start taking the attitude of gratitude, that I'm actually really grateful for the smallest things in my life. The roof over my head, that is actually a big thing. But the smallest things in life, like, you know, living near the coast where I can walk on the beach, having enough rain, having enough water. I mean, we live in such a fortunate society. I mean, finding a little thing to be grateful for, finding a small enough thing to be grateful for is a struggle, you know.
Unless it all gets taken away from me, then it becomes so easy. You're like, oh my God, how did I not see this before? It's actually amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see a lot of people as well. Like, I work, for example, also with, I hope this is not offending. I really always hope it's not offending, but it's just a reflection. And I work with people with disabilities. And there's people that have great houses and families and marriages and all the things. And I go home and I think this is really all I'm sitting here at my house and I want a big car and a great home for my son and I and all the things, and I don't have them, and sometimes I get frustrated working away to get them. And then I go home and I think, you know what, but I have legs to walk, like I can run
Absolutely.
across the beach, and I think, oh my, you know, this is, yeah, it really sets you right back into
Absolutely.
gratitude.
Yeah.
Totally.
Having enough water to drink during the day
Yes.
is a big one, you know.
That is truly a big one. Like clean water as well, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, having faith in life is about being grateful for the small things, and focusing on the aspects of life that support you being one of them, and noticing if you're not supporting yourself, if you are bringing yourself down, if you are suppressing your needs, or if you notice if you are suppressing your needs or not telling others about when you need help, or notice if you are not giving yourself the best chance to draw positive things towards you.
I like how you say that. It really comes from a place of self, doesn't it? When you are not giving yourself the chance to draw positive things towards you. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, see, I'm actually blocking it through, I don't know, you know, keep sitting in my frustration or something like that, or my overwhelm maybe, or
there is a little bit of a formula for this. As we walk through life and we experience other people, as we do relationship, what we are often experiencing is other people projecting their ideals at us. Quite often people experience this as an invalidation of them, or an expectation on them that they should be more. Hence, people end up feeling less than. So there's this feeling of, if you have experienced that others have in some way been the catalyst for you feeling less than or invalidated in some way, then the usual response is to go into agreement and invalidate yourself. Match this with your own human controls and your own ideals. Ideals are often a good thing. Some ideals are quite limiting, because they don't allow enough room for gratitude of what is right now. But as long as, you know, ideals can be quite limiting. Match that with a control, and your experience that you have been that you have felt less than by an experience with somebody else, got into agreement, then your controls are quite likely to project that less than onto others. And that is a little behavioral formula to life. And that is the nature of transference. You feel one thing with another person, you learn that for yourself intrinsically, and then it carries forward, and inadvertently, unconsciously, you may find that others feel less than around you, because you have pitched your expectation for yourself and others right up here. That doesn't meet anybody where they're at. It doesn't give anybody any. It doesn't express any self-understanding or understanding for others. It is simply just. It's leading from the mind about how things should be. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're following what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I do.
Got a question about that?
I just like several relationships actually came to my mind when I think about also the clarity, like when you sometimes I think this is the head and the heart thing as well, where you know if they don't connect with each other, it seems to mess around as well in the relationship too. It's like, oh, my head thinks and sees it, and it logically may make sense, but my heart is not catching up, like, or not agreeing or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
I caught
okay,
myself. Yeah, I caught myself saying, caught myself saying to a client the other day, have your heart watch what your mind is thinking.
Yeah.
Have your heart watch what your mind is thinking, and then and just run a check for, you know, how compassionate is your intention.
Yeah, compassionate, but then also for yourself first again, isn't it? Because I do compassionate for others a lot. Used to, until I was in the healing as well and integrated something, and I said, I'm so sorry I didn't have that compassion for myself or part of myself first before that person outside of me.
Compassion for yourself as a priority, always. Others as a necessity, because the person standing in front of you is just a reflection of who you are. So self first, and self as a priority, others as a necessity.
And also what you see in them, isn't it? Because often people come to me and say, oh, they have their opinion about them, but I thought, oh, they were actually quite nice or easy to talk to or something like that. You know, it's like, I don't really see what you're talking about. You know, it's like it's a perspective thing, I think, as well.
What do you mean? Do you mean, perspective is everything, isn't it? What do you mean about, do you mean two people can be in a conversation and one person can like and feel connected with that person and the other person doesn't? Is that what you mean?
Yes, but that works as well. But what I was saying is, like, someone talks to me about a third person in a way, whatever, they don't like them, or they see a part of them that they don't agree with or find annoying. And then I get to know the person, and I'm just like, I think they are fun.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess it is that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But quite the little formula around this is, I've got little formulas for everything, don't I? The little formula around this is that if something about someone else grabs your attention, that is something that your attention has caught on to because it's an opportunity to look at it for yourself.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. I mean, once you catch on to that, this is the greatest trick of all time, and for beings who want to, really launch into self growth. I mean, and some people are that way inclined and some people are not. People who piss me off are some of my favorite people to be, to interact with. I want to know why that person's pissing me off, and I want to get to that part of myself that is that pisses other people off, and I want to get a bit of awareness around it. I want to get a little bit of awareness around it, because it's not my intention to piss people off.
So that's what I thought too. It's like, you are naughty. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. What? Where is that part inside of me that is actually naughty?
Yeah, exactly.
And doing that. Right. So
yeah.
Is that what do you do in these situations? Do you is that like a shadow integration and go, okay, you're naughty. What is it that you need? Is that the whole feeling thing again? Why you feel like you need to act in that certain way? Although
so you're exactly right. Shadow integration is one thing, but I have I suppose learned a little bit of a shortcut, and that is to go to the feeling. Go to that feeling, because that feeling of for example, if you were annoyed with your partner, let's face it, that happens regularly in any marriage or any relationship. You're annoyed, okay? Go to the feeling, let that feeling run. Let it run within you, watch it. It is a biochemical response to stimulus.
Oh, so it's actually stimulating us in a way that traveling it through?
Well, the feeling can be very stimulating. It can stimulate us to say things we don't really want to say or are not constructive. Yeah. So if you're watching the feeling, if you're conscious of the feeling, then it's less likely to kick your butt into saying, Joe, you're a pain in the ass, and starting an argument than it is, and it's not that I, want to suppress myself, but I do want to be responsible with my feelings. I don't want to be, projecting my frustration all around the house. If it's warranted, if it's valid, fantastic. And I will know by the time I've traveled that feeling, if Joe's annoyance of me is something that I really need to show my hand and say, honey, did you consider how that would have affected me before you did that? I'm showing myself openly. I'm sharing how I was affected. We're having an open conversation, and he can go, oh, shivers, I was not aware, darling. And I'll just say, could you, or I'll put my need on the table, and he'll either meet my need or not. So.
And that is, I feel that's, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
I'm just reading Michelle's question. Can you talk about the comment that you received at karate in this context?
Yeah, what's the comment at karate? Can you let us in on that?
So the comment that I received at karate was, I think the one that Michelle is talking about is, I copped a fairly strong punch to the face, and the person who punched me in the face is the loveliest man. I have such a great deal of respect for him. But he didn't mean to. And my sensei basically said to me that I walked into it. And the comment was that I deserved it. Now, when I saw Shell the next day, when you cop, Scott's 40 kilos heavier than I am. So when you cop a punch, any kind of punch in the face from somebody who's 40 kilos heavier than you, it leaves you a little bit feeling vulnerable. And so, or it did for me anyway. Somebody else might have much more experience at getting hit in the face than I do, and it'll be, well habituated, water off a duck's back, no problem, but not for me. I've managed to dodge quite a few. So the comment was, you deserve that. You're in the wrong place. You did not. That's where the camera is. Right. You did not, you didn't move correctly for his technique. Okay, that's fine. As I traveled that over the following weeks, immediately I knew that my sensei had not said it in a punitive way, like I deserved that I wasn't good enough to respond correctly. That's not the way he meant it for me. And unless I had actually traveled the feeling for myself, I could have misinterpreted his question, his statement completely. I could have gone and stayed in my victim
Did you understand?
Did I understand? I had received a punch in the face. I had received a punch in the face. I was feeling quite vulnerable. did I understand it at the time? I have great faith in him. Yeah, I have great faith in him, but I was hurt that he would say it. And so when I went to that hurt, and unpicked it, everybody's good intention was there. Everybody's acknowledgement of our greater potential was there in that feeling. But so was my physical vulnerability. And I was able to take care of that. And I was able to be present with that. And I was able to not stay in my victim flow for any longer than was necessary. I was empowered by that. I finally worked out that you cannot have somebody else's shoulder at right angles from your face. Took me a good punch in the face to find out. Wow. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Because you also said it took you a couple of weeks to travel it through. Now,
it took me a good 24 hours to travel it through, so that I wasn't feeling the tickle of my victim flow. Some people, I don't step into victim flow easily these days. I've spent a lot of time in victim flow in the past. I've had a lot of funky things happen in my life. I don't go into victim flow easily. I would prefer to seek a way to approach matters where I am empowered, conscious, free to choose how I feel about something. And I'm always seeking to have a situation build me rather than drop me. That's that attitude. Attitude is a big thing.
Yeah, I'm sometimes still learning, building up, learning to fall. Oh, this is falling. Okay, now up again. That's where I'm
at. Yeah. And if you get into the practice of watching,
is because it takes you about 24 hours to travel that through. And then what if there's like several layers where you have this thing and you are aware of it, but then new things come in that kind of add to it that you can't avoid, and then you're having like two things to sort out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what usually happens, especially when feelings run into patterns of behavior or past experience. So the feeling will come up and you will become self-reflective with it, and you will sit and you will hold and you will watch for ways that your thoughts reinforce the feeling, and you just be detached from those thoughts. Just watch them. Though the story and the data that comes from your mind is generally in the same tone as your emotion, and is generally reinforcing of the feeling. So it reignites the biochemical response of emotion that you are experiencing. So therefore it'll go on longer. But if you watch in a detached way, then the feeling is not reinforced and it can just subside. You can just easily slip into nothingness. Sometimes if it's a pattern of behavior, then it'll slip into another feeling and it will show you that disbelief will run into anger. And I'm just using a really a really simple template of grief. That the disbelief will then subside, and what you'll find is that anger rises from underneath that, and then sadness rises. And once you've traveled that, then sadness will rise from underneath that. And then when sadness has subsided, you may find that there's an emptiness. And that is the way that emotion, that is the way that emotion creates learning.
That's interesting because I just had abuse coming to mind, because after abuse is just like trauma and chaos and loneliness and emptiness and so much sadness. Even sadness can be depression, and there's so much. And Michelle just said processing after a traumatic event becomes quicker using these skills. So that's
Absolutely.
really interesting to know.
Yeah,
because you go,
absolutely.
yeah, and I found that even
But the
after,
one thing you can't invalidate about traumatic experience, and I've got a live situation of this happening in my family at the moment, and it's only a little thing, but if the stimulus is live, if you are, if the situation has just happened, then and the feelings are strong and they keep coming, it's not a time for you to be detached with your feeling. It's a time for you to be watchful. Detached is a very strong word. People think detachment is separating yourself from that, or suppressing a feeling. It's not that. Detachment is not that. Detachment is the knowledge that you are not your feelings, that this feeling is happening, and your job is to be watchful of it, soft within it, and aware of what is reinforcing it.
Which works with your thoughts as well.
Exactly.
I noticed beating myself up over not doing the dishes, and I thought, look, that's actually not your voice. This sounds like your mom back in the days. Maybe she was annoyed for whatever reason. It's not you. It's okay not to do them. It's okay, whatever, you know.
That sounds like a tired. That sounds like a tired voice. Remember, when your children get tired, they get obstructive.
Yeah.
You know, of course you don't want to bloody do the dishes. You're bloody exhausted at 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
No?
So,
make the choice. Make the choice. Move on. This is when, you know, reminding yourself, I am free to do whatever I want to do here. I don't have to do anything. I do not have to be controlled by the shoulds in my mind, whether they come from my mother or whether they come from, you know, anywhere else.
Yeah, that is so true.
So.
And I was just wanting to talk about that it's easier using those skills after healing from traumatic events, because when I think about, abuse, or I don't know about grief too much, because I haven't really lost someone who was really close to me yet. My grandpa did, but I found trauma and abuse was really heavy, and I see many people even years after these events still sitting in that. So I'm wondering, what am I wondering? I'm wondering how this works, that it actually heals you quicker in a way, I guess. I don't know if it's called healing, because it's almost like it's there, because I know how it works. It's there, and you stop breathing or whatever, and that gives it the chance to just be stuck in your body. So I guess in that way you cleanse it out or something. It's just like what you do. I feel like it's such a Can
you give me a live example so that I can ask you a more specific question?
So I feel like what I just wanted to say is, before I say that it's a very gentle way of releasing emotions that can be very uncomfortable to face. I feel like
definitely
like such like abuse, people come out of abuse and often don't want to face it because it's so uncomfortable to look at it again and to open that up.
Yeah.
And to feed it
looking at pain. Looking at pain. Yeah.
Because you have a degree in counselling. Yeah.
No, I don't have a degree. No, I don't have a degree in counselling. I have an undergraduate degree in psychology. But back to the feeling of people not wanting to go to their feelings of trauma or feelings of pain. And I hear this quite often, is that I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is you already do. And whether you keep it suppressed underneath the cover of numbness or hardness or whatever other learned feeling or energy that you've learned to cope with, it's still there. It's still there, and it's going to be there as a source of further pain in the future if you are unwilling to sit with that pain and bring it your own softness. Bringing your own softness to your own pain is what stops the pain being reinforced and reproducing within you. It's not the memory of the abuse that is so acutely traumatic. It is your relationship with the memory of abuse, your relationship with it, your sense of, there could be, for any individual, there could be 100 different attributions for why abuse happens in their life, or what that means in their life. It means that I've had a shit childhood, or it means that I've had I've got a shit life, or I have a bad reputation, or I whatever. But in actual fact, those kinds of those kinds of attributions create a reality that isn't true. You are just like the rest of us. You have a choice to make in every moment. You can make the empowered choice, or you can, and this is not about blame. This is giving everybody the opportunity, or helping everybody see that they have an opportunity. And this is why they don't, is because they can't see that they have an opportunity to step out of their victim flow and into choice, and empowered choice, to go, what happened to me could have happened to anyone, everybody. And of course I made that decision. I couldn't see any further. I didn't have
if we could have.
Yeah, I had no awareness that he had a painful childhood and had all of that in his background. How could I have known? How could I have known? Or of course I would have wanted to heal that wounded duck of a man. There's all kinds of attributions that, make people perpetuate their patterns.
There is so much learning in this. So just by listening to you speak about this, it feels like all of these things. Well, I'm kind of aware as well, so now I can feel just my stuff in a way. I was like, oh my God, this actually feels, because I used to think it's like a burden. It's like eventually it must just find an end. I'm just going to journal for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to do 3 clay processes, and then it's going to finish. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. So now it literally feels like, instead of another thing to do, another thing to work through, it's like it really feels more like a gift now. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I'm just going to unwrap one after the other, and I'm going to have so much knowledge and so much wisdom and so much strength, whatever it is.
Yeah, actually, I think you're onto something there, because it is ongoing. It is ongoing. For the rest of our lives, we will be challenged, and our beings will grow, and we will become more aware and more wise because of it. Hallelujah.
And I feel like
excellent.
Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Because I feel like I'm carrying all these heavy stones around with me. It's like, this is so heavy. This is so heavy. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? This is actually awesome. Let's do something with it. Let's do something about it. Let's maybe share it with others or something. Yeah, that just completely turns it around. There was just something else as well.
No such thing as problems, only unwrapped gifts.
Only unwrapped gifts. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. That makes
the energy.
So much fun.
Yeah, Yeah, the energy of a problem, it's just energy. It is just energy. Bring it in, feel it, watch how you reinforce it until you're not reinforcing it anymore, and it will simply leave because you've grown and gotten what you needed to know from it.
And that's it, hey? It's like, oh, okay. If I would have known that earlier, I wouldn't have carried it around for the last 30 years.
And that is called a shift in awareness.
Sorry?
And that is called a shift in awareness.
Yeah.
Now you know that you don't have to carry stuff around. You don't. You simply don't.
I guess that's a choice too. Yeah. Do I want to carry it or do I want to look at it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And ask yourself, what am I thinking? What am I thinking that is reinforcing this feeling? What am I thinking? Yeah, because we buy into our own thoughts, thinking that they're the authority on, that we are the authority on all things, and that we know. But in actual fact, the main someone just sent me the bulk of your thought while you are highly emotional is symptomatic thought. It's symptomatic thought, and it
I can just hear the song. I've been hanging around on the song, and it's like meet me in the middle. Da, da, da. I'm losing my mind just a little. And it's been stuck with me for a week now. What is this song all about?
And your head goes round and round and round on an emotion.
Yes.
Yeah, until you stop and let the emotion and give that emotion your heart. Put your heart in the space. You are not your emotions. Watch them until they leave.
Yeah.
Softness with yourself. Let it all pass. Keep walking.
And I think that's allowing yourself to be ugly. I feel like we are not ugly. I know we are beautiful and worthy, but this ugliness is coming out, and we just don't want to show that because it's not pretty, and we might look weird or less than we want to be.
Yeah, let yourself be human. Let yourself be human with mascara running down your face and no makeup on and all your hair out of place, and let yourself be angry, let yourself say the wrong thing, because it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You will eventually return to softness. You will eventually apologize for hurting others.
Yeah.
Which is
a very interesting thing.
And you will eventually come back to, restoring love within yourself and love between you and all beings. That's the process of life.
It's almost, you get the ugliness out, but then you turn it around into love and beauty again.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Life is a beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I think life is a really beautiful thing. I think I marvel at the perfection of life. I marvel at it. It's just so beautifully designed to take your being from this small, unlived experience to this expansive, vibrant, dynamic, responsive, expansive, effective, beautiful, expression of yourself into the world. It's just, I just love it. I'm loving life.
And I think it was exactly that. Yeah, it was exactly that attitude of yours that shone. What's the past of shine? Shined. Shone a light onto my darkness when I was sitting there how can this be any positive? I just see crap around, and you were just so embracing and loving it. I was, how can she love it? What's her point of view that she has such a view and wants to live this long? And I'm sitting here and I just don't. I just don't want to go just an inch further.
But Christin, I feel those feelings too. I feel those feelings too. From time to time, I will experience a feeling that just makes me feel like, wow, I don't want to travel this, and I don't want life to be like this, and I don't, I experience those feelings too. And when I'm ready and willing to allow myself to put my toe in the water and then my foot and then step in up to my knee, and and I do so with an intention to know that that is not me. This is just an experience that I'm having. And this is the experience that's making my soul grow. This is the experience that I'm growing through, and I will keep walking and continue.
And sometimes I forget in those moments. You experience.
I forget every day.
I can go through. and then you go through it, and you come out the other end, and you're, oh, that's right. It's just a moment that I forgot while I was in there just 10 minutes ago.
I forget every day. I forget every day. I go to the gym every morning. I go to the gym every morning, and at about 162 beats per minute, my ability to be self-reflective goes out the window, and I'm all full of I just don't want to do this. I hate this. It hurts, and I can't is my favorite.
What am I doing?
I can't is my favorite reinforcer to get me out of doing it hard and pushing myself forward. I can't. Actually, my heart functions quite beautifully at 165, 168. It would probably go up to 170 if I really needed it to, wanted it to. And it could do it. And it could do it a couple of times an hour. But if I buy into that I can't, then I won't. And there's a lot more expanding to do than that.
I so felt the same about my heart when I was like in the midst of my turmoil, chaotic emotions. I was like, my heart is actually beating quite strongly. Although I feel like a weak, chaotic mess right now, it feels so strong and it contracts on a regular basis. This was my heart, and I was like this. And then I felt it just inside, and I thought, oh, look at this in the middle of all of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So beautiful.
Get to know your heart. Use it to watch your mind, and continue.
I just have to check the time. I can hear it.
I think Shell wound us up.
Yeah, that's why. It's time. I think we have to wrap it up. Oh man. We need to make these longer now. No, it was so beautiful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing today. Oh, where can people find you if they would like to work with you or know more about you? Where can people find you?
They can message me on Facebook at Your World Orientation. That's the best place. That is the best place to message me, Your World Orientation. Or you can email me, loisrowley@gmail.com. That's the best way. That is the best way to get in contact with me.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd put my hands together, but I'll just put one over my heart. Thanks very much for having me, Christin.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining me.
No worries.
Be
Love
well.
to you, darling. Bye.
Love to you. Bye.
Bye.